And we're back. Welcome to Light the Fuse, your one-stop shop for really all things Mission Impossible and, at this point, Top Gun Maverick. But, we're back in Mission Impossible Land this week. And how you feel about that, Charles? Do you feel the need for speed? Do you feel like we have more to say in the Top Gun space? Where's your head at right now?
Yeah, I think this is a Mission Impossible podcast, but I think there's still more to be said in the realm of Top Gun Maverick. I'm hoping we will find some people that we're, trying to get on the show that we'll bring them back for Light the Fuselage. Whether or not those episodes will be numbered or not, or they'll not be numbered, I don't know. I think we can say now, we can tell everybody that we were just stalling to give us more time to get to the 200th.
So, don't tell people that, Charles.
But hey, there's more. I think. I hope, but we'll see. I mean, it depends on if we can get people to come and talk to us more about Top Gun Maverick. But
can I bring up a credit in Top Gun Maverick that friend of the show, Phil Perillo, brought up to me?
Sure. What is it?
That Colleen Atwood is actually credited as a costume advisor. So if we weren't already hot on her case to get her on the show.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Advisor.
Yeah.
Huh. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
She didn't work on the original, did she?
I don't think so.
Huh. That's really interesting. I mean, yeah, we talk about her all the time because we're just obsessed with her work. She's done so many incredible movies. Yeah, I don't see her on the original. She was doing Manhunter that year with Michael Mann.
Hello.
In '86. So
anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. If our case for Colleen Atwood was not already strong enough, that really brings it home.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh, I actually had something else I wanted to bring up as well. Someone messaged us this.
Okay.
I think it's in Europe. I'm not sure exactly where, but there are Mission Impossible chips.
What?
That are out right now, I assume. Check this out. Walker's Max. Punchy Paprika. And it's got a silhouette of a man running, which I think, they probably couldn't pay for his
likeness rights.
Likeness rights. So it's just a silhouette of a guy who I probably assume is supposed to be Ethan Hunt. And it just says Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, Walker's Max, Punchy Paprika. And if you get these chips, it says 1 month free streaming trial for Paramount Plus.
I'm just going to state the obvious here. Why don't they have a picture of Cavill on there? I mean, his name is Walker.
Walker. Well, it's Walker's Max. You also could have Vanessa Redgrave on there, too.
That's true. I think that Vanessa Redgrave would be a great chips salesperson. So, yeah. That's amazing.
So, anyway, I was very excited about that.
Please send us these if you're in the UK.
Yes. I'm trying to find... I lost track now of who sent this to us on Instagram, but it's a lovely thing that I was very excited about.
I can't believe you kept this from me, but I'm glad to experience it finally.
Jack McEnroy. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. He's the one who sent us this, and he said he got a free month of Paramount Plus.
I mean, what's better than that?
It's UK wide. So if you're in the UK, go pick up some of those chips and get some free Paramount Plus.
Is that it?
Yes, that's all I got. I think you should do your favorite part of the show.
Well, yeah, we're back with Tom Peitzman Part 2. I haven't even set up this episode yet, Charles, but Tom Peitzman Part 2. Anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, Tom is awesome. We get more great stories today. We talk a little bit about Angley's Hulk, which is fascinating, and more great stuff with Mission Impossible. So, yeah, you're going to love it.
Okay, well, this episode is yet again brought to you by Jeremy Dillon and his podcast, My Favorite Album, and he wants me to remind everybody that he just had a little fella by the name of Eddie Hamilton on a show, and it's a great episode, so I encourage everybody to listen to that, I should say. Also, this episode is brought to you by John B., a longtime supporter of the show, as well as Elvis Ripley, and our newest sponsor, Suchet. So, there we go. How's that?
I love it.
All right. Well, let's get into Tom Part 2, and we'll be back afterwards to wrap things up.
And so with Ghost Protocol, the Kremlin explosion, was that the big the big sequence, or for in terms of VFX, or what else was there?
Well, that and the sandstorm,
Oh,
the
right, the sandstorm,
sandstorm,
yeah.
just, crazy, complicated in terms of processing power. Funny, when we were in Red Square shooting plates, and we're on the Goom. So the building that's directly across from the Kremlin. And we had permission to go up on the roof. And so they brought us up there, and we had our interpreter with us, who was, this guy, Evgeny, who did a great job helping us out. And so John and I, and there were like three other people, were up on this roof with a motion picture camera shooting plates and tiling. And I'll never forget, they brought us up there, and the gentleman said, "I will come get you, or just call me when you're done," and locked the door. So we couldn't come back down. We're on the roof up there for hours doing this. And we looked down through one of these skylights, and there was like a desk right below this skylight. And it had like those kind of like for dummies books, the yellow ones with the black stripes. And John goes, "Hey, look, it's Photoshop for Dummies." And of course, he was one of the founders of Photoshop. So he thought that was just, classic. He's looking down there and seeing Photoshop for Dummies in Russian.
Wow.
But sitting up on top of the Goom. But yeah, doing a sequence like that, where you're in the middle of Red Square, you're blowing up the Kremlin essentially. And it's like, okay, and we're here with a small group of people locked on the roof of the Goom, across from the Kremlin. This is just a little weird.
It's Mission Impossible, baby. You gotta roll with it.
That's it. Yeah. And the whole thing, when the explosions happen and Tom's running down that thing and the stuff's happening around him, we built a section of that mimicked all the stones and everything. That was a very complicated triggered system that Tom, of course, did himself. And a lot of it was, instead of concrete and things like that, it's cork and things that are safe. But that was a complicated one, because you had to match all the angles exactly right to what we were able to get in the Goom or there in Red Square. And we had very limited access while we were there.
So when you say things were cork, is that like pieces of because it's sort of like cobblestone type ground? Is it that stuff, and that stuff's getting shot up in the air, kind of in explosions, and that's cork?
Exactly right. Yeah, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take cork and vermiculite and Fuller's earth and things like that can go airborne, that won't hurt somebody. And so it gets, they take they'd hone out a section of the earth that was in this one set piece that we did. Then they would fill it with all that stuff. But what they would do is they would paint it before they filled it. So when all the chunks flew out, it didn't look like the wrong color of what it should be. So they paint it ahead of time. They load it all with the mortar that's down there that special effects would be doing, and then have sometimes a skin on top of it to give it even more of that realistic look. And then, rehearse it a number of times where people would call out the explosions, so he knew where to look and where to be and where not to be. You do that a number of times until everybody gets the timing right with the cameras and everything else, and then you go hot, and then they wire everything. And so then when you do the actual take, he knows exactly what's going to be where at any time, and just to minimize any risk.
And those cars had they were jumping, right? Like they had a mechanism. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how many times can you reset and do that? How many takes are they able to, and how long does it take them to reset to do all those explosions and get all the cork ready to go and everything?
Well, it's usually you're doing around 3 to 5 takes is what you budget, because every one of them, of course, like you're saying, Charles, it takes time to reload them, and it takes time to clean everything up and get everything ready to go for the second take. But what you try and do on things like that is you try and make the reset time as small as possible. And what you'll do a lot of times is you'll shoot one take in the morning, and then if it's a second unit or a big action unit, then you'll break for lunch while they're resetting everything else for the second take, and you move on to like some other smaller things to help fill the time up until the lunch break. And then over the lunch break, the guys go in there, and unless it's something that takes even longer to redo, and then you would do that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's amazing the time it takes and the effort that goes into a lot of these big stunts. Well, for instance, when we're shooting the whole sandstorm sequence, it's a car chase through this sandstorm, right? And so, with that, they had these trucks that would it's kind of hard to describe. I'll do my best, but imagine the big Ritter fans. It looks like a big airplane propeller with a huge like V8 engine on the back that spins this thing in a wire cage that looks almost like a fan boat in the Everglades. And they would mount these things on the back of these stake bed pickup trucks with these huge suction devices that would pull it into the fan. And they used ground paper pulp because it was biodegradable and it was OSHA approved for us. And they would put these 33-gallon trash cans full of ground paper pulp with these hoses into them. And we were driving through certain parts of Dubai and creating this sandstorm so the cars could drive within it and we could control it. And then the ILM would augment it on the sides where you couldn't see. So sometimes we had to paint out the trucks. You saw it through the sandstorm and things like that. But it's amazing how many shots we ended up doing where we actually got it in camera because there was so much chaos going on with this ground paper pulp and all these trucks driving around creating this sandstorm.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Lots of wire removals on Ghost Protocol. We talked to Vaziri.
Oh, yeah. But they ended up doing, the stunt guys got really creative on one shot where Tom, it's where he gets hit and goes over the roof of the car. And, that was a really, really tricky one because it's in the middle of a sandstorm and all of that. And for the last bit of impact, we wanted a side angle shot of the car coming in and he hits. So it's Tom. There's no doubt it's Tom who actually does it. And what they did is they moved the background on a track on stage, and then the car only moved a few feet.
Huh.
So you had the camera moving, you had the wall moving to make it look like it was the car moving, but it was actually the background that was moving behind it. And the car was fairly stationary.
And the wall was like a building or something that they were right next to or something?
Yeah, it was a building that they were right next to. Yeah. So we just had, a long section of this wall on a track, but there were like windows and things. So you knew it was moving.
And then it gives you the impression the car is going super fast.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So then you can control the impact completely to make sure it was safe for Tom.
Movie magic, everybody. Movie magic.
Movie magic. Oh, yeah. Lifting up the curtain.
So what about the car park? The car park where there was a set that was built.
Oh, my God.
Very tall, but obviously it wasn't the full car park. So there were some green screens or something in there, or blue screens you were doing to augment it, to make it a full parking structure. Exactly.
Yeah, and basically we built, I think it was 4 or 5 stories of that. And it was a working mechanical device. I mean, you could drive a car onto we called it the tongue, and the tongue would raise up and it would go over and be able to drive off into one of the parking stalls. And it was based on I think it was in Stuttgart, Germany. It was based on the Volkswagen factory. And that's where they would store all the cars in this automated parking garage after they were completed. And so, our special effects guys figured a way of building this mechanically with these massive hydraulics, taking full-size automobiles and moving them around on it.
Wow.
And then we had to do a lot of visual effects extensions for the portions that we couldn't build using green screen, and then building a full digital version of that as well for some of the really extremely high shots and for some of the really heavy action stuff that we had to do. But that was a mechanical, feat to build that thing. It was really cool.
That sequence is pretty close to the storyboards and the previs, right?
Very close. Very close. Yeah, because that really, Drew, had to be planned out to the T, because it was so complicated jumping down from everything and running around the different levels, and when the football fell to the ground, and how they got to that whole thing. And that was very, very choreographed, to say the least.
Wow. Charles, you have any more questions? Or
I know you're itching to get to Tomorrowland.
No, I mean, we don't have to talk about Tomorrowland. We don't have to.
Oh, no. We can't have someone on here who's worked on Tomorrowland. I mean, if he worked on Color of Night, we'd be talking to him about that for sure. So
That's true. That's true. I thought we might want to ask about, other things, but yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything left from Mission Impossible that I feel like we should ask about.
What about the car careening into the river?
Oh yeah, the car flip it. When the secretary gets shot, and then you had to have a rig that goes upside down, and then you're shooting underwater.
Yep.
What kind of visual effects were you needing to do there?
They ended up doing a barrel rig for that, so the actual car could do a full 360 on stage, and was shot against blue screen, and that was another really cool rig that was built that allowed the camera and then the car to move independently of each other, to really give it that that feeling of you're with the car, and then all the bullets whizzing through underwater. And I believe we shot that the exterior of that in Prague, as though they were going in the river. That was a really it was a fun sequence to do. But yeah, anytime you're doing stuff underwater, oh my God. And especially when you could do stuff dry for wet, it makes it a lot easier. But when you have to do actual wet for wet, it makes it a lot more complicated.
Seems like that was stressful. Who do we talk to, Charles, from underwater photographer?
Pete Romano.
Pete Romano, yes.
But he talked about working on The Abyss, where James Cameron's like actually firing weapons into the water. It sounds like you were doing VFX for the bullets on this one, at least.
We were doing that, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank God.
Pete, it's amazing what Pete Romano can do. I mean,
yeah,
he's spectacular.
Yeah, and the flare that was underwater, was that a real flare? Was that practically done, or did you guys do that in visual effects?
A little bit of both. They had some that was able to be used underwater, and then some of it was augmented with visual effects.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess, Tom and Bird and JJ always strive for this authenticity and this kind of like tactile sensation, and doing as much in camera as possible. I was wondering, going from a situation like that to something like Lion King, which is completely virtual, which is an animated movie. It is.
Yep.
What is that like for somebody like you?
I mean, anytime that you can do things practically in camera, I always think it's better if it's able to be done, because then, your DP has something to light, your director has something to look at and react to, your actors have something to look at and react to. And it also gives the visual effects company something to really latch onto and realize it has to look just like this, because if it doesn't, it's not going to match for the rest of the sequence. So it really gives a great point of reference. And that's always the thing to challenge directors at the beginning of a project, is like, we're going to do as much as we can for real. And then where we can't do it for real, that's where visual effects does its best job, to be able to kind of maintain the magic, even though we got a lot of it in camera, because then you kind of help the audience suspend belief or disbelief by doing that as much as you can in camera.
So did you say, Favreau, let's get some actual lions in here? Come on, TikTok.
Exactly. Come on. Why not? Why not? We can get them talking. Just a little practice.
Are you coming back for the Barry Jenkins movie?
No. I was already doing. I just finished shooting the Haunted Mansion, so that's what I was in the process of doing for the last 9 months.
I've heard some interesting things about Haunted Mansion.
It's cool. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, I hear there are 2 mansions. Can we confirm that?
There might be 2 mansions.
Okay.
There might be.
Okay,
that's
there we
as much
go.
of a confirmation as you can get.
That's it. Charles's daughter is going to be very excited. She loves the Haunted. Does she like the regular Haunted Mansion, Charles, or just the?
She's a big Jack Skellington fan. That's her
Cool.
favorite. So she likes Haunted Mansion Holiday a lot.
Yeah. Tim Burton.
Yeah. So you worked on 2 different Tim Burton movies. What's it like working with him?
Tim's great. I mean, he's one of those guys that pushes you to make sure you better show up with your A game every day, and you have to be quick on your feet because he tends to at times change his mind, and he'll run with an idea that maybe wasn't what you had planned. But a lot of times those are the ones that really make those movies interesting, where you're constantly being thrown curveballs and having to adjust and work within kind of what his vision is. It's hard, but it's great working with creative people like that. It makes your hair gray. You want to pull out your hair at times, but at the same time, those are the kinds of people that really push you to work really hard and bring your best to the table.
Right.
And it inspires creativity.
What about Angley on the Hulk? Or I guess it was just called Hulk. Sorry, not the Hulk.
I'm a Hulk super
correct.
fan
Yep.
over here.
Yeah, well, that movie had a big change in post, right? Were you a part of the first version of Hulk, the second version of Hulk, or both versions of Hulk?
I was involved from the very beginning till the release of the film.
Wow, okay.
So yeah.
Can you speak to that there was a change?
Yeah, tell us about the earlier one. We want to know.
Well, it's just, I think one of the things with Aang, we had a hard time for a long time really grasping what he was trying to go for. I mean, the whole mushroom dad cloud thing at the end over Pear Lake, and all of us. I mean, I'll never forget going up to Pear Lake and with Aang and shooting a bunch of stuff up there. And we're like, we have no idea what the hell we're doing. and he had a very specific idea what he was looking to get from it. But, there were times where it was really challenging because we really didn't quite grasp what he was going for.
Interesting.
Just tell us how weird it was 6 months before it came out. That's all we want to know.
It was weird. It was weird.
How much did it change?
Was
like how different is the final version from that weird version?
I think it changed pretty. There was a lot of changes. I don't remember like 4 massive sequences that were cut out. It's been a number of years ago too, but there were enough changes that really, for the people that shot it and they saw it, they're like, wow, that's different. So, then the people that were, on it in visual effects for, months and months on end at the end, it was very funny with Aang. He wanted to he got himself in the motion capture suit for the sequence where, there's the tree trunk and he's swinging against, and Aang gets hit. And I'll never forget, I'm the guy with a pool noodle as though it's a tree trunk and hitting Aang in his motion capture suit. And I'm like being really delicate because I didn't want to hurt the guy, and we're up at ILM on their motion capture stage. And Aang looked at the data and the guys played it back with kind of applied to the character. He's like, no, it's too gentle. He goes, Tom, you really have to hit me. And I'm like, okay. So I did another take and I hit him pretty hard. It's a pool noodle too, right? And he goes, maybe not that hard.
That's when assault charges were filed against
exactly.
Tom Peitzman.
That's when I was escorted off the set.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, before we run out of time, Drew, I know you've got a burning desire for some questions about Tomorrowland, I'm sure.
Well, talk about a movie that changed a lot in post-production, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is the final movie, I guess, what you and Bird and Lindelof and Jensen talked about initially, or?
It evolved. It is one of those movies that certainly evolved. And, it was, a lot of it was a stretch and a lot of it was challenging to figure out. And I think it was a little above some of the audience that was a younger audience to understand some of the politics that was being, put out on that too. And, there were a lot of personalities too between, Hugh and George and then the kid and Britt. And, it was It was interesting.
Well, how about we ask this? Did you work on 1906 at all?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I knew, that earthquake project, if he ever gets it done, it's, it could be really, really cool. I know he has some really interesting things he wants to try and do.
Well, we ask everybody a couple of questions, so it is now the time. You're in the hot seat.
Uh-oh.
Assuming you've seen all the films, do you want to rank the Mission Impossible movies in your order of preference?
Oof. Wow. That's rough.
I know. I didn't say that would be easy.
That's rough. Well, okay, I'm going to say number 2 is last.
Sure.
The motorcycle joust, I'm sorry. Come on.
So, some might say it was a lot of fun, that motorcycle joust.
That's true. I'm going to be biased, but I do think that 4 and 3 for me are 2 of my favorites. I do like 5 a lot. I think Chris McQuarrie, very, very smart. I have not seen to be honest, are we up to 6 or 7?
6 has been released. We're in production on 7 and 8 right now.
6 I have not seen.
Oh.
I have not seen 6. And 1, the tunnel chase is classic. So the tunnel chase is up there with one of those classic sequences, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should watch Fallout. Watch 6.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
great.
Take it from 2 people who are not invested in this at all, but
We're not biased at all. Nope.
the other question we have is, are you a long hair Tom Cruise guy? Are you a short hair Tom Cruise? In 2 movies, you got short and long hair.
Yeah, he's short hair.
Okay.
Short hair
Short
Tom
hair,
Cruise
okay.
guy. Yeah.
Short hair like 3 or short hair like 1, or what's your favorite?
I'd say 3.
Okay.
That's the classic. That's the classic Tom Cruise look.
Yeah, there's a little bit more wiggle room there, but he's going to be comfortable in a boardroom. He's going to be comfortable on the couch.
Yes.
It's kind of he's a man of all seasons there.
He is. I always laugh because I every time I see a Tom Cruise moving, I'm like, okay, how long is it going to be until he takes his shirt off?
Yeah.
In the
We're not
movie,
complaining. Hey.
It's like inevitable on every single movie. It's like, okay, it's minute 6. Yep, there goes the shirt.
Listen, we should all look as good as him
We'd be lucky.
at 60, right?
Yeah, we would be very lucky. I tell you, he is one of the hardest working actors I've ever worked with, though. I must say, he's a true talent. Fun to watch him.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, do you have anything else to plug? We got Haunted Mansion. That's what, summer or spring 23?
March 10 of 23 is what the release was on that.
Okay.
And I've got Rescue Rangers coming out, I think next month, May.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, Rescue Rangers is going to be a lot of fun.
We're big Lonely Island guys.
Chip and Dale, man. Live action. Yep, with Akiva Schaffer. Yep.
Yeah. Can't wait.
So.
Well, thank you so much for accepting this mission, Tom. It was so fun to get to chat with you, and please come back anytime.
You too, guys. It was fun to meet you, and it's always good to try and reminisce about those crazy old, the crazy films you do, and some of the stories that you can't believe you've done them.
Yeah.
Well, if you find your Brad Bird doodles, please send them our way.
Yeah.
Even if they are NSFW.
Where's the Brad Bird? You'll appreciate this. You see that?
I have that. I have it signed by him too.
Is that Sid Mead's concept art for Tomorrowland? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
He didn't even do anything on the movie though, did he? It was just a promo.
He did. He actually was a conceptual designer with us, and he consulted.
Yes.
But this was when I'll never forget, we were at D23, and I was there with Brad and Sid when everybody was lined up and signing these things, and this one appeared at my house.
I think it was New York Comic Con, actually.
Yeah.
Not to correct a producer on Tomorrowland. But
Oh, that's right. No, it was. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah. Well,
That
hey,
is
if it's about
correct.
Tomorrowland, Drew knows.
Yeah.
He knows all.
it's in the dossier. It's in the
There you
dossier.
go.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
And we're back. Charles, how you feeling? Did you feel like that was a good interview or a bad interview? How do you rate it?
I would say great. It was a great one. I loved it. I was fascinated to hear about the trick that they used to make it look like the car was going faster when it hit Tom Cruise. Do you remember this? I know we talked to him a while ago, but they had a background that they made a fake background behind the car, and they moved the background really fast. The car was moving slow, and they moved the background really fast to make it look like the car was going faster than it was, and then it hits Tom. I thought that was such an amazing old school trick.
Yeah, just magic.
Yeah, movie magic. So great. And then, of course, as I mentioned at the top of the show, to hear him talk about Angley's Hulk, because is notoriously that movie changed a lot in post. I think
I'm still a fan.
Yeah, it's a weird. Hey, anybody who takes a swing and does something weird, I'm all for it. That's
yes.
Maybe it doesn't all work, but there's some really fascinating stuff in that movie. It's very interesting, and anything Angley does is absolutely worth watching. I mean, he's an amazing filmmaker.
I recently found out that the Gemini Man 4K Blu-ray is actually in 60 frames a second. So I kind of feel like maybe we should check it out.
I should say, even though I just said that anything he does, I still haven't seen Gemini Man. I think I maybe got scared off because people were saying not good things about it, but I should watch it.
All right, here's the deal. We get it. We get some Walker's chips. You come over and we just have a little party. What do you say?
We do the Walker's Max chips, and yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it.
All right, let's do it. But before that, Charles, you got some shout outs to give, some acknowledgments.
I do, actually, yes. I want to give a special thank you to Matthew Costa and Sonia Miranda. Thank you, Matthew and Sonia, for making this episode possible. And also, I want to credit our editor-mixer, Luke Burson, and our composer, Kevin Blumenfeld. Thank you to Luke and Kevin, as always.
Charles, what if people want to have their names read on the show? What should they do?
That's such a good question, Drew. Wow, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, people should go to patreon.com/lightthefuse and sign up at... there are many levels you could sign up at, but that's one of them. We do our tiers based on all of Ethan's middle management bosses. So you can be a mission commander like Swanbeck, Anthony Hopkins, or you can be an operations manager, or you can be the IMF director, or you can be the IMF secretary. So plenty of things that you can do on our Patreon, and we'll say your name, or you can be a part of our monthly Zoom chat, or you can just get bonus content every week, which is awesome. We've been doing bonus episodes every week for a couple of years now, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's maybe too much.
Yeah, I think you just need to stop there with it's a lot. And if people are into that prospect, then I say join. If you're not, which I completely sympathize with, also very cool with that too.
We support your decision either way.
Yeah.
But we would love your support as well. So... you can always sign up and not listen to the bonus episodes. That's another choice. So
that is very true.
Please support the show. You can also do that by going to our TeePublic page, which is linked from our website, lightthefusepodcast.com, in the merch section. And also, while you're on the website, check out the tab for our episode guide, and you can go through all of our past episodes and look at show notes for each episode and see it's a great visual companion for all of our episodes in the past. And what else, Drew?
Well, I think everybody should definitely be following us on social media. That's Light the Fuse Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And also to like, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. And also just tell people about it. I feel like, we're kind of still kind of an underseen gem, and we want to get that widespread mainstream recognition. So
yeah, we're looking to sell out any way we can.
Yeah. Literally any way we can. If the Walkers people
I feel like
are
we're
listening,
like an underground kind of cult hit right now, maybe, at best.
Yeah. At best,
we're looking to sell out any way we can.
Yeah, we want to break through the top 40 radio airwaves. So please just tell people about us, and we'll be back next. Who do we have next week, Charles? Do we have anyone next week?
We've got options for next week. We'll see. We've got things coming up, and we've got to figure out exactly what our schedule is coming up. But we've got always got stuff coming up. So we really appreciate everybody listening every week, and we'll be back, of course. Thanks again for listening, everyone. And before we go, another mission, should you choose to accept it, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember that you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LightTheFusePod, and email us questions or comments at lightthefusepodcast@gmail.com. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.